up, you guys? So I apologize if I sound weird throughout this video. I am having a super bad allergy attack right now because of my lovely cat. I just want to preface this video by saying that I have tried to film this video so many times, but I would either get anxious, upset, I would cry too much, or just in general, I tried to film the video and I lost the footage. So that's kind of why it's taking a little bit to get this video up this week. I would also like to say that this video is probably going to deal with mental health, infertility, and just weight and like food in general. So if you can't really watch something that has to do with that, I do not suggest watching this video. I'm going to start by saying that I got off birth control January 20th of this year. I got a period in January, and my last period that I had was February 25th to February 29th. And TMI, but the last day or two of the period in the February month was just kind of not there. So it was very, very light and kind of like spotty. Basically, I was just having really light periods, and then in March, no period whatsoever. And at this time, Hennis and I decided that we were trying for children. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start taking pregnancy tests, and they came back negative in that month. So I was like, okay, well, that's really weird. In the end of the month, however, when I was taking the pregnancy tests, it started to come back that it was like kind of like faintish. So it was really, really hard to see, and I was starting to lose my mind because I couldn't tell if it was actually there or not. So I was messaging friends, I was FaceTiming friends, I was sending them pictures and stuff, and I was like, listen, I really need your help. Can you please tell me if this line is there? And I can tell you that at least 5 of my friends were telling me that my line was there. I was trying to get the lines to get a little bit darker before I decided to go to the doctor, but they were consistently staying at that faint line. And at this point, I had 8 pregnancy tests with all of the same lines. I will preface this by saying I did not let them sit, and I followed the directions to a T. So at this time, it was starting to get to the beginning of April, and I was like, you know what? It's time to go to the doctor and see if it's really true. Let's go get some blood tests done and stuff like that. So I called the doctor up and I said, hey, can I come in for a blood test? I really need to check if I'm pregnant or not. My period has been gone for 2 months at this point, and I've been feeling weird off and on. They told me to come right in. I went in, they took my blood, I left. They told me that time, maybe like 2 or 3 days later, that I was negative, that I was not pregnant. So I was like, okay, maybe it's too soon. I don't know. I'm still getting faint line positive tests. So I will also say that I was taking different brands. I was taking Clear Blue, I was taking First Response, I was taking the cheap Dollar General ones. I was taking literally every test that is out there. So they were like, okay, well, just wait for a little bit and then come back and we'll see if it is again. So I maybe waited like 2 to 3 weeks after that point, and we went in again to the same like first walk-in clinic. So this time when I went in, however, was a little bit different to the first time. So I walked in and I brought the pregnancy test with me this time just in case if there was something wrong with me, and to see if maybe the blood test was wrong. I don't know. So I went in, they took my blood, the nurse asked me, hey, do you have those pregnancy tests? And I told her yes. She asked to see them and I showed her. She said, okay, well, can you wait right here really quickly? I'm gonna go get the doctor and bring these blood results back. I told her sure, that I would wait there, and I maybe waited for like 30 minutes or more. And the doctor comes back and she has this kind of thick paper stack with her, and she comes in, doesn't even look at me, doesn't even say hello, just leans over and starts signing things and says, congratulations, you're pregnant, you are due December 2nd, and we are going to give you some prenatals. Basically went on this whole spiel that you're supposed to get when you find out you're pregnant. So at this point, I'm just staring at her like, you're sure? And she goes, yeah, you have those pregnancy tests? And I was like, yeah. So I showed her the pregnancy test, and she just nods her head, hands me the papers, and I'm on my merry way. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, like I can't believe I'm actually pregnant. Like I've been wanting this for a very long time. Went out to Walmart while I was over there, and I bought like a baby blanket, baby bib, baby nookies, like the little pacifier things, and just like a onesie and stuff like that, so that I could surprise Hennis, because of course I was gonna tell him. I tell him, I tell my parents, I tell my siblings, he tells his parents and his siblings, and I tell a few of my close friends. So we didn't really tell a lot of people, and the only people that knew outside of our close circle was actually his work, so that he could come with me to the doctor's appointments. Unfortunately, this is the part where it starts to get really hard on my mental health and my health in general, and weight gain, and eating. So about 2 weeks later, after I found out that I was pregnant, I got a call from the same clinic, and I was like, oh, maybe they're calling to confirm that I'm setting up like OB appointments or whatever they're called. So I get the call, and Hennis and I were sleeping at this point, so I was like, well, I gotta answer this call. Maybe they messed up the insurance, which this clinic is always known for messing up insurance for military patients. So I pick up the phone call and I go downstairs to answer it so that way I'm not waking up Hennis because he's asleep. And I'm sitting there talking to her, and she goes, so we got your blood results back and you are not pregnant, your blood showed negative. And I just kind of started laughing. I was like, are you sure? And she goes, yeah, I'm sure. And I said, you're positive? And she goes, yeah, I'm positive. Why? And I basically explained to her that the doctor told me the same day that I was in the room getting my blood drawn that I was for sure pregnant. She's like, what do you mean she told you you're pregnant? And I said, she told me that I was pregnant twice. Like, I asked her if I really was, and she said yes, kind of situation. So when she confirmed with me that I really wasn't pregnant, I started to have an anxiety attack. I felt broken. I felt like I was getting my heart ripped out of my chest, and I just didn't say a word. I hung up the phone, I set it down, and I walked away, and I started bawling. So I was sitting in here bawling my eyes out, not knowing what to do. I didn't really want to wake up Hennis because he had just gone to bed, and he comes in here and he asks me what is wrong. And I explained to him the whole situation and how I'm probably not really pregnant. I really didn't know what to believe at this point. He calls them back and he's like, what do you mean she's not pregnant? She was told she was pregnant. There's literally a piece of paper that it says on it 3 different times that there was a confirmed pregnancy. Oh yeah, no, her blood results show that she's negative. I don't know why it says that. And he goes, well, why the fuck did they tell her that she was? Why didn't he hand her this paperwork? Why did she do this? Why did she do that? They really could not answer his questions, so I had to start speaking with patient advocate. And just so an FYI, it's the end of June basically, and I still haven't heard a word from patient advocate after talking with them for maybe 4 different times. So I don't know why they told me I was pregnant when I really wasn't, but according to one of the other doctors there, one of the people that is in charge of them, they wanted to tell me to make sure that I was taking care of myself in case of a pregnancy. Which is complete and utter bullshit, because the clinic here on base told me, well, we're not going to tell you you're pregnant if you're not pregnant, and we can't take the blood test right now because it was in the middle of COVID. And they were like, well, just take prenatals, just do this, just do that, avoid these, avoid that. And I was like, I don't really want to do that for months on end until you guys can get me in, so let me go get my blood drawn somewhere else. Oh, that was a fucking mistake, because obviously they fucking lied to me and caused a lot of mental health issues. So at this point, I started to stop really taking care of myself. I started to gain weight because I was either overeating, or I wasn't really eating at all, or I was just eating like normal. It was just like this big sporadic thing, but I was definitely not being healthy, especially with my eating choices, if that makes sense. Like, I would just eat chocolate and goldfish and chips. So after this, I was like, well, fuck. If I'm not pregnant and I'm still having like all these issues, where the hell is my period? So I called my local doctor and they were like, well, we're gonna have to get you to an OBGYN. So they got me to an OBGYN in the local area. The OBGYN took some blood and they told me that my FSH was high, my LH was low, and that my estrogen might be a concern, but they weren't completely sure because it wasn't day 3 of my cycle. So while at this clinic, they tell me that they have a concern with the fact that I might be premenopausal, which is basically where you're in menopause early, which is really rare for somebody in their 20s. Like, I think they told me it was 1 in a million that you can be premenopausal in your 20s. They said to me that they were going to be sending me to a reproductive center at this point because I was actively trying for children, which kind of is bullshit, because the next time they took blood results, they wouldn't tell me what the results were because I was being seen with the reproductive center, which makes no sense because I should know what my results are, if that makes sense. Like, you can't withhold results from me. And at this point, I would ask them questions and they were like, well, your reproductive center will tell you this, your reproductive center will tell you that. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to ask you right now what this means, because I'm trying to figure out if I should be paying out of pocket for a reproductive center, because the military decided IVF and infertility stuff really isn't in their budget. Just a little bit of an insight so that you guys can know like what my FSH levels were and what my LH levels were. The first time I got my blood drawn with them, my FSH was 50.02. The second blood drawing, my FSH levels were 49.53, which was literally a week later. Like, it was done on Tuesday, on like the 5th, and then the next Tuesday after that, I think. My LH levels, however, I only know one of the results, and I think it was 0.1, because that's what the reproductive center told me was the one that they got. As for my estrogen, I really don't know what that one was. They didn't really tell it to me. Like I said, they kind of just passed me off to the reproductive center and stopped telling me things. So according to the OBGYN clinic, my levels were supposed to be below the 20s, I think it was, because I'm only 23. To not be having post-menopausal like ranges if you're in your 20s. Now we're getting at the point where I'm kind of at right now, which is where I'm going to the reproductive center. So the reproductive center ordered another set of labs, and they're like, okay, you're gonna go in, you're gonna retest this, you're gonna retest that, you're gonna retest this, you're gonna retest that. And I was like, okay. And they're like, you're also gonna do this, you're also gonna do that, you're also gonna do this. So I basically had to get, I think it was 8 tubes of blood drawn, and honestly it was very annoying because they didn't tell me that I had to fast for some of them, so I had to wait a whole another day in order to do it, and I couldn't eat throughout that day. The only tests I really know the names of are the FSH, the LH, the estrogen, and I think they did a genetic testing and something else along those lines. I really don't know, I just know those 4. I actually got those blood drawings done on the 15th of this month, which is still not my CD3, so I'm going to be redoing those tests on, I think, the 5th of July. I really don't know. We're trying to make sure that my period is actually coming in July because, like I said, I didn't have a period for prolonged months. My latest levels were actually, my FSH was 7, my LH was 7.6, and my estrogen was 157. And they told me that my estrogen was really the only thing that they were concerned about, but they basically think that it might just be a cyst growing on my ovary, or it could have been because I was actually in my ovulation week, which I'm pretty sure I was. I wasn't really testing this month because I was taking a break from my mental health. So now at this point, we're really just trying to wait until the results come from next month, and then they think that they're going to be starting me on Clomid, letrozole, and dexamethasone, which is basically infertility treatment things that'll help me get pregnant and hopefully keep away the FSH being high. We really don't know. We're just trying to make sure that my FSH and my LH are going to be within normal levels and not premenopausal. It's really hard to say where I am right now with everything going on because who knows, my levels might raise again, my levels might drop even more. It just really depends on the situation, and it really depends if my period is going to be coming this month. But I just thought I would give you guys an insight on everything that's been happening with me because I know a lot of people have been asking about it, and I feel like a lot of people could benefit from this. Because I know when I was searching for all of this information, there was nobody out there that I could find in their 20s with premenopause. And I joined Facebook groups. I joined freaking newsletters. I looked everywhere on YouTube. I couldn't find it. Not only that, infertility is literally 1 in 8. So 1 in 8 women are always dealing with infertility. So there are a lot of us out there that are literally struggling so much to do a dream that we have been begging for freaking years. The only other information I really have on the situation is that my reproductive center told me that in the beginning those faint positives I was getting was possibly a chemical pregnancy, and that they were 90% sure that I was going through a chemical pregnancy. They told me something about the egg was really trying to stick, the pregnancy was really trying to stick, and that's why it was a lot longer than a normal chemical pregnancy, but that it just would not stick, which is literally a chemical pregnancy. A pregnancy that just won't stick and won't stay. Other words in there, simple terms, it was a early miscarriage. But if you guys have any questions for me, if you want to know anything else about the situation, or just ask me anything about the situation whatsoever, about birth control or anything like that, please do not feel afraid to ask, because I really wish I had somebody that I could have asked this to, and I didn't. My DMs are open, my comment section is open. You do not have to worry about asking me something because I will answer it. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you guys for your support. I am super sorry that this video is getting up late. Like I said, it was really hard for me to film. It still is kind of hard for me to film, but I am completely okay with giving you this information or it would not be up. I really hope that you guys like this, and if you did like it, please comment and subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you guys next time.